Alright, what's going on everybody? Damien here, representing DNA, and today's video is actually going to be a little bit different from the normal YouTube videos you guys have seen on my channel. I'm not doing any vlog or kind of day in the life thing today. I'm actually going to be talking about a specific topic, and it's a topic that's very relevant to what will be coming in the next few weeks. Now, with talks of reopening the city here in the GTA, in Ajax and Toronto, there's obviously the talks of reopening of gyms, and that is the topic of conversation we're going to be going over today. And I'm going to go over what the top 2 mistakes are for people who have been in quarantine and their approach to going back into the gym, and kind of also go over how to establish where you are currently at, your level of fitness, and how to properly approach getting back into the gym. All right, now let's get into it. Alright, now before we dive right into what are the top 2 mistakes for most trainees, going back into the gym after a long period of off time, we're going to go over what 3 stages of, I guess like sort of the 3 categories you could fall in after taking some time off from the gym. Alright, now the first one is going to be the active quarantiner. So this is someone who has obviously been away from the gym but has still been very active, whether that's because they've had access to a home gym, they've maybe been going on a lot of runs and walks or playing a lot of sports outdoors, indoors, wherever they have access to. Someone who's basically stayed active during their time at home and they've been consistent with their fitness. So that's the active quarantiner. Okay, then the second category is the semi-active quarantiner. So this is someone who has still been trying to stay consistent with the gym. Maybe they don't have a full-fledged home gym to use. They have some equipment at home, some light dumbbells, some resistance bands. Maybe they've been focusing just on bodyweight movements and calisthenics type work. So basically they've taken what they usually do in the gym and maybe cut it to about 50%, all right? The capacity and the workload that they do to about 50%. So they're still active in the gym, but not too active, and they've been sort of taking this quarantine time to relax a little too. And the last category is the detrained quarantiner. Now this is someone who is taking this time and basically said, God told me to take some time off, so that's what I'm going to do. So this is someone who hasn't really been doing any sort of physical activity other than day-to-day activities. They've been relaxing, chilling, eating. All right, so those are kind of the 3 stages of where most people are at during this quarantine time. Now you might be listening to this and thinking, man, like I kind of fall somewhere in the middle. And I can even speak for myself when I say that I would say that I'm somewhere in between the active and semi-active quarantiner, somewhere in the middle of that. So I'm still working out pretty consistently at home, mainly bodyweight workouts and some workouts with the little weights and resistance bands that I have at home, going on runs, going on walks, but it's not anywhere even near like 80% of what I would usually do, say if I even had a home gym to work out in. So I'm somewhere in the middle, and you might be somewhere in the middle as well, and if you are, that's perfectly fine. I just sort of wanted to outline 3 categories so it wasn't too complex. We don't have to go too specific with everyone's specific situation, and it's kind of just a general idea of where everyone kind of is. All right, so as long as you kind of understand where you're at, it's going to make getting back into the gym a lot easier. Now the next thing we're going to go over is the top 2 mistakes that people will make when heading back into the gym. All right, now number 1 is going to be going back into the gym and acting like nothing has changed at all, acting like they haven't been off for an extended period of time, whether they fall in the category number 1 or category number 3. What that basically leads to is kind of setting yourself up for failure versus success. So you don't want to go back into the gym acting like nothing's changed, throwing on your 1 rep max for your squat, your bench, your overhead press, your deadlift, your front squat, whatever it is, and attempting that after taking 3 months off. That is only going to lead to injury. That might even demotivate you, say if you don't hit the weight that you thought you could hit. You don't want to admit that you've lost some strength, those sorts of things. All right, so come into the gym with a more structured approach versus just coming back into it like nothing has changed at all. All right, so that's mistake number 1. Okay, and mistake number 2 is actually the exact opposite of mistake number 1, and that is training too little. Now if you're coming back into the gym and your intensity and say the number of times a week you're trying to hit each body part isn't really enough to stimulate your body and bring yourself back to what you once used to be, then you need to up the intensity a little bit. Don't be afraid, but be cautious and be aware. So I think that's another mistake that a lot of people will make, is that they'll come back into the gym, act like, you know, they're starting from the very bottom, and that won't necessarily be the case, especially if you've been active during quarantine. All right, for the people who are, you know, very detrained and haven't been doing much physical activity at all, yes, take your time, but don't come into it like you're a newbie in the gym. Come into it like you know what you're doing, like you have some experience under your belt, and take the time to properly come back and get back to the level of workload you were once at. Okay, so don't take it too easy on yourself, but don't be too aggressive at the same time. Try to find that fine medium. And so now that actually leads me into the next kind of subtopic, which is how to properly approach coming back to the gym. So to avoid those two mistakes that I just outlined, one of the best things that I can suggest is to properly lay out your training routine. You know, write it down. Write down what the goal is when you come back into the gym. What would you like to see within 4 weeks of coming back? What would you like to see within 8 weeks of coming back into the gym? And make sure it's very structured and it's attainable. You know, you don't want to set these goals up that are going to set you up for failure. You want to make sure you're setting yourself up for success with small little goals scattered throughout, you know, you come back into the gym until you're back to what you used to be. So coming back with a structured approach, whether you're making that plan yourself or you have a coach or a trainer that's making it for you, hopefully they know that as well. Okay, the worst thing is to, you know, from going from not being in the gym at all and, you know, throwing a 6 or 7 day training routine in your face, and, you know, all that's really going to do in the end is also just going to make you feel unmotivated. You will get tired way too fast. You might need more days of recovery afterwards, and that allows room for more injury. So that's just one simple way of sort of taking everything that we've said here and making your approach and your steps back into the gym as easy and as comfortable as possible. Okay, that sort of sums up the video here. I didn't want to go too deep into detail because everyone's situation is very specific, obviously, and again, it really depends on what stage you're at, right? If you're the active quarantiner, the semi-active quarantiner, if you're the detrained quarantiner, if you're something in the middle, everyone's going to be a little bit different. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. Everyone's level of fitness is going to be a little bit different. Everyone's goals will be different, all right? But the one thing I can say for sure is avoid the common mistakes of coming back into it way too intense or coming back into it way too easy on yourself. Try to find that fine line, that medium where you're coming in with a structured approach that is easy to follow in the sense of you can adjust back into it well and smoothly. You know, it's not completely disrupting your entire lifestyle and sort of what you come accustomed to during the time of quarantine. But again, obviously, it's good to get back into a routine. All right, so guys, hope you guys enjoyed this. It's brief, but hopefully it outlines what you guys need to hear and what you guys need to know. Make sure not to fall into those mistakes that I outlined and to come back into this strong. All right, catch you guys in the next one. If you guys are interested in DNA online coaching, make sure to check out dnaonline.ca for training sign up, for programs, for clothing, and much more. Appreciate the love and support.